Riverbend Talent on the air, brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance. And if you're ready to join in on Rock the Hops, it's time to do that. Go to Rock the Hops and sign up your band. It's happening August 8th of 2026. The Sea Shanty Sing-Along later tonight starts at 6 o'clock and runs until 9 o'clock. We've got open mic scheduled tonight at the Conservatory in Alton. The Salunatics underway at 6 o'clock at Fast Eddie's until 10 o'clock tonight. We got the open jam at the Full Moon Lounge. We'll see how that plays out tonight. Enough's in town at the Wild Eat Theater at 7:30. The Grand Band, 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock at Big Daddy's in Edwardsville. We got Eleanor and the Rigbys from 7 until 10 o'clock at the Stagger Inn again in Edwardsville. Dustin Coleman, 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock at the Cabin at Judy Creek in Glen Carbon. We got Naked Soul, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Prairie Inn in Dorsey. Blues and Grass down at the Fairmont Park at Long Shots at 7 o'clock tonight. And Jeremy Drake from 6 to 8 o'clock at the Press House, the Old Herald Brewery down in Collinsville. Joining us tonight, the guys from BC Homegrown. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, good. Good to be with you.
And someone else is probably joining us. What? No, you're not. He's not joining us. He's not joining.
I'm not joining tonight.
You didn't turn your mic on.
Come on. That's because I'm not joining tonight. Oh, man, it's so early. I'm usually not up at this hour.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why are we here at 3 o'clock? This is crazy. I feel like it's a dream. It is a dream to be back with Brad Cummins.
It's dreamy.
So this is what, before we kick into this, I'm just going to say this. I was impressed with what happened from my point of view with BC Homegrowns coming into existence. You correct me if you can tell me how much I'm wrong on this, but from my perspective, you guys were the Screaming Eagle Jam Band.
That's true.
And you might have done some originals, but you were a sort of a
Mostly
cover band.
cover band,
You're doing mostly covers. You're out there doing your own thing. And I'm sure it was cooking on the back burner, but from an outsider's perspective, one day you flipped the switch. And now you're an original band called BC Homegrown, and you decide, you put out an album, lickety-split, have your CD release at the Miners Theater, was it?
At the Lincoln.
The Lincoln Theater. I knew it was one of those out
Yep.
there. Okay. Sold like 400, 500.
Yeah, we did about 450, 460 tickets.
Between 400 and 500 tickets. And this is one of your first gigs as an original band.
That's true.
Now, for those of you who are like, so what? That you've never been in an original band, obviously, or you wouldn't say that, because to sell that many tickets to one of your very early shows, that's pretty amazing, man. That's outstanding.
Thanks.
Is what I would say there. Right off the bat, I was like, how do you do that? I wanted to learn his secret because I got 4 people, and I know them all. It's my wife, my kids who I made come. They didn't want to. No.
I think we just had to start early.
Yeah.
You know
A
what?
couple months ahead of time.
And we did a lot of ground game. It was a lot of, we tapped everybody.
See, now that was talking to Brad. Right next to Brad, we've got Al. I'm sorry, what was your last name, Al?
Coalson.
Coalson. Okay, so this is my first time meeting Al Coalson. Although we might have done time together, we found out earlier.
Oh, yeah, let's not spread that story.
So, welcome to the show, Al. We're going to dive deep into the psyche of Al because he's the only newbie. But first, let me say hi to my old buddy, Kenny. Kenny McPeak, way down at the bottom. I can barely see him because my eyes are so bad, but I'm sure he's just as handsome as always. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome back to the show. You've been here.
Hey, Kenny, see if you can make that microphone sound like mine sounding right now.
Yeah, get in there.
There you go.
All right, man. Treat it like you know it. Hey there. Let's get slow and sultry. So welcome back to the show. You've been on with multiple bands for multiple reasons, different events, and
Yeah, I'm a music slut.
Yes. I was going to say
Let's keep it clean, Kenny.
He's a drummer. That's about the same.
Well,
Pretty much.
And most musicians we know are turning their kids into drummers because it's so hard to find drummers that'll keep showing up. I don't know what's wrong with the drummers out there. You know, I've just started turning anybody into a drummer. Oh, really?
Yeah. Right.
Bass player? Well, if you play bass, you can play drums.
No, not necessarily.
Hey, well, I don't see. I believe in just do it. I'm not saying you're going to be good.
Well, as long as you're saying that, yeah.
Right. Have you ever heard me play? Come on, dude. Obviously, you've never heard
have
me.
not.
You'd be like, oh, this guy doesn't expect much. Right. So we got BC Homegrown. What have you guys are out playing all the time? Because we say your name all the time. But what have you got coming up real quick like that we should promote now before this show's over and we don't say anything about it?
Well, we actually play next Friday night. That's the 17th at Fast Eddie's, and then
Nice.
we play the following night at Prairie Inn on the 18th that in the afternoon. But the big gig we got coming up is at the Mill in Granite City.
Yeah.
Really neat venue, and definitely want to talk about that one.
Yeah, and that is a nice place. They've been
It
doing
is.
a lot down there.
It's really cool.
So what is the date on that?
That's May 8th,
May
Friday,
8th.
May 8th, and we're playing with another band, the Tracy Inman Band.
Again, there's another guy who impressed me.
Yeah.
He did some things I'd never seen anybody else pull off. I'm like, and it's like, how'd you do that?
Yeah,
Come
he
on,
put a
yeah.
lot of work into it, man.
He did. He called me when he got on the touch tones, and he was so excited because he had been working for so long and put so much time into making that happen. And I was excited for him.
Oh,
You know,
that's
I'm
great.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
this is so good. But yeah, that's a great lineup there. The Tracy Inman Band and BC Homegrown together at the Mill, which I would sit here and look at you and say it's a fabulous venue. I've only saw it before it was finished. I just saw
Oh,
it.
it really is neat.
Yeah, I
They've
haven't
done a
actually
job
seen the
with that.
finished product yet because I just the mayor of Granite City doesn't allow me to come back. No, just kidding.
There's an Al episode in there somewhere. I don't know what happened.
Just kidding. Mayor Mike Parkinson's is a great dude down there. He's kind of the one who made all that happen with the mill. So good for him. So you guys playing down there. Whew, what are you thinking? Like, you know, are you guys having to sell those tickets? Because again, you sold.
We're trying to help with it, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've I just talked with Ray Warren, the guy down there, and he just told me, he said they've already got about 30, 40 tickets sold.
Nice.
Most of the VIP seats are actually spoken for. There's still a lot of good seats in there, though.
Yeah.
The venue is very comfortable. People that are going to come there, they're going to have a good time. They got a great bar. They got a great sound system. They got good computer graphics behind it if you want. Real nice stage. And they know what they're doing. Meeting Ray was a pleasure, and his sound guy used to play keyboards back in the day. I don't know, I didn't get his name, but I mean, he's been around as long as we have, so that's pretty old. But he's good, though. He's really good. And so I think it's got all the makings of a great concert and something that's rare, to get two local bands that are fully ready to do a full concert.
So where do people get tickets? That's what I was trying to lead you into.
Okay, you
there.
can get tickets at the Mill at their website.
There you go.
That's really where you can do. They've got it all set up with the little squishy that you point your phone at. What do they
Right.
call that thing? The QR
code, yeah.
They got all that kind of stuff going, or whatever. You can do it the old-fashioned way with turtles and things like that. Just
Right.
get your turtle crawling.
I believe the website is the millevents.com.
There you
Good.
go. Okay. See, and when I said, "Are you helping with the ticket sales?" I was trying to lead you into saying that, but I've learned you can lead a horse to water, but you can't get him drunk. So there you go. TheMills.com.
Don't put no S on it.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Just say cottonmouth.org. There's a link there.
There you go.
May 8th. Go down to May 8th. Click on it. Bam. You're there.
So cottonmouth.org. Cottonmouth.org. Check it out and see what you can find
I
there.
just like saying ORG. I think.
If you say it fast enough, it's fun.
He
Orgy.
probably sent people to the wrong website now because it's cottonmouth.org. O-R-G.
See, I have the other one.
Not the other one.
I'm trying to create traffic on my side gig here. If you do go to mine, scrub your browser when you're done. You think it's clean, it's not. It's not. Anyway, so BC Homegrown. Now, we've had Brad on, we've had Kenny on, but this is my first time meeting Al, and Al impressed me before I ever laid eyes on him because I saw his car parked out.
Oh, yeah.
So Al, welcome to the show. Very, very nice to meet you. Let's pull that mic on in, get to know it good, and let's talk a little bit.
Okay.
How did you get wrapped? What brought you to this lowly place? And how'd you get wrapped up in all this? When did you start playing music? Let's start there.
Well, I started playing music probably when I was probably somewhere around 68 or so. My friends wanted to have a band. They had like 2 guitar players and a drummer. I call him a drummer. Well, he had a bass drum, a hi-hat, and a snare drum. You know, that was his drum kit.
Perfect.
So they needed a bass player. They talked my parents into going to Halpin's and buying me a little Vox bass and a little bitty custom craft amp, and I was in the band as soon as I got the guitar. They started teaching me the funk
Okay.
fist.
All right, let's
I know what you're thinking.
Let's pause for just a second. Do you know? you might. I heard it wrong.
Yeah.
I think
Maybe.
You said you were what age?
Not at 68, in 1968.
Okay.
Oh, see,
I thought about that when he said
I thought
that.
he said he started playing when he was 68. I'm like, dude, you right off the bat. I'm like, he is messing with my head. There's just.
I think I was 16 at the time, maybe.
Well, what I loved was in my little story, you're 68 and your parents are taking you.
He's got really good parents.
Yeah.
It was really playing out goofy in my head when I. Okay, had to clear that up. Had to clear that one up.
So I got to ask you, Al. 1968, you start playing music. So a lot of guys from that era, it was Ed Sullivan and the Beatles that got him interested in music. How about you?
Well, yeah, that was one of the first albums my parents ever bought us was Meet the Beatles, because even they realized that this was something special, that the Beatles were not just another band. That
I like your parents.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
Not all the parents were down.
No, not too many would run out and buy your own child a bass guitar and amplifier.
I mean, those guys had long hair. It was down to their earlobes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And they'd already seen Elvis the Pelvis, so it was like,
Right.
well, I don't know about these guys.
But all right. So here we go. We just mentioned Elvis and the Beatles. Anybody here know who both Elvis and the Beatles opened for?
Chuck Berry, probably the king of
Roy
rock and roll.
Orbison.
Oh,
No kidding.
That makes sense.
That's cool, yeah.
I'm a big Roy
Another
fan.
great one.
Yeah,
another
I don't
great
know.
one.
I think weird stuff. My wife's like, and you can't remember Trash Days Wednesday. Yeah. You remember
That's
this?
not important.
You remember this? That's what I keep telling her. Could you write her a letter for me?
I just get you in trouble. I'm glad to do it.
So you're
I started out on bass guitar, dropped out, went to college for a while. I was a trombone player.
Ooh.
Played trombone in a band called DNA, which was an 8-piece horn band. And then when horns started kind of being not quite as popular, I switched to a 6-string guitar, and that's what I've been playing mostly now. But I still play a little trombone here and there. Mostly guitar and trombone.
Now, Al, you were a member of the Owls, right?
I still am a member
Still
of
in there. See, I knew that. There you go, Pigpen. Now your head's really like turned
See?
sideways.
No, we do it.
hold on. Your name is Al.
Yep.
Of
And
the
he's
Owls.
in the Owls.
What was
You don't have a sister named Alice, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
Okay, mind blown.
I love
All right, see, this is the way the world works. We're almost related. No, I'm just kidding. Your sister is a part of the Camp du Bois.
Yeah,
and yes,
she's very active down there.
That's how I met her.
Yeah.
And she told me that her brother was in the Owls. And it just is, I had no idea. I see it now. I see it. It's so clear now. It's funny to me, though, because it is one of those things like Kenny. So many bands, there's a lot of great musicians on this side of the river.
Yeah, Alton area, Alton, Godfrey. Yeah.
It's always amazed me. I felt like there was a lull during the whole rock. What was the fake rock video game? I forget what it was. All the
Rock
kids,
Band.
yeah, Rock Band. I felt like there was a lull in real bands there for just a minute because they were all doing that. But now it's back, and you see all these young kids having bands and scenes popping with out of these younger groups. But it's always been that way, and you love it because everywhere you go. Oh yeah. Did you ever know Dan Brown that had the musicians club down there? Man, what a genius idea. We're all sitting in a room and you can go, hey, you and you, let's go play. That was so much fun.
It's also called an open mic.
Yeah.
That was down on Broadway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of times at an open mic you don't have just
You're
all
not
the...
locked in where nobody can come in and bother you. That's what you really like about
This
it.
is true. This is true. I did like being locked in. But it's also, some open mics do have like full PAs and drums and all that set up. I know Kenny's run them like that. And those are the ones where you can really get down like that. And a lot of open mics, if you didn't bring the instrument, sorry.
So why'd you even bring that up?
I don't know.
Dan Brown. We're talking to BC Homegrown.
He's riffing.
We're talking to
I forgot.
We're talking to
on
Al.
the radio. I'm sorry.
We're talking to Al. Al from the Owls
Yeah.
and BC Homegrown. And he started in 1968. So my mind's spinning. I got some questions.
All right, let's do it.
So when was your first gig, like real gig?
Well, we used to play at what was it called? The Bethalto Pavilion, Bethalto Boys Club. We never could talk to was it Irv Mount or whoever ran Jive Land? We'd never get in there. They had the better bands there.
Like the
they
Roundhouse?
They always seem to have St. Louis bands play it. The Acid Set and some of those Harley Quinn.
Leroy Emmerich.
Yeah, Leroy Emmerich. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we.
So
we
that was probably the mid 70s, something like that.
No, that was back in the 60s when I
Oh,
was still in high
60s.
school. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of high school kids actually played in bars back in those days.
No, we didn't ever play bars, but I mean, we did. Somehow we ended up at Monticello College. We played out there one time, I recall. We played at Alton State Hospital, which was what they called a union transcript job, where you played the job and then 3 months later you got a check for $18.
They wanted to see if you survived it for a while. So.
But now you got to pay your dues because it's union. So at 18, you owe us 7. No.
So the late 60s is when we're talking about. And so what was the music scene like around here? Was there a lot of clubs?
Well, ours was more teen towns and type of things we'd play at.
Because you hadn't.
Yeah, we weren't old enough to get into a bar, so it was we were all underage.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was after the sock hop era, though, right?
Yeah.
It was past that.
Well, we still played some sock hops, junior high, Roxana. Most of the guys from the band were from Roxana, so we played there quite a bit. But yeah,
How about the skating rinks?
No, we never played skating rinks, but it was what was unusual is the type of music you would play. You would do everything from the Monkees to Jimi Hendrix to Cream to bubblegum pop.
Interesting.
It just didn't seem to matter. You do a few R&B tunes. You do a wider selection of music than I think most bands do now.
Okay. So once you get out of high school, did you stay playing in bands?
Yeah, when I went to SIUE, when I was a trombone player, we were in a band that played like the Granary and places like that. And
Okay.
from there, it kind of went from DNA band into Topaz band, which was around for 5 or 6 years, and there's been too many other little bands to name. It's like
Right.
Seems like I'm always. The only time I had time off is when I started working shift, worked out Clark Refinery, and it was just too hard to schedule jobs when you didn't know when you were going to be working, who was going to call off, where you'd have to stay over. That you couldn't leave. So that was the only time I didn't really play in any bands.
So we're curious about a couple of things. We call this the home of rock and roll. And our reasoning is, and because you're from that era, I want to kind of throw some things at you here. Okay, so 1954, Johnny Johnson was playing in East St. Louis on New Year's Eve. Okay?
Yeah.
And his saxophone player had a stroke. So he had to find somebody. Now, who are you going to find on New Year's Eve? Everybody's playing, right? Well, he found this kid named Chuck. And Chuck come up and kind of blew everybody's mind that night. And this is 1954, same year as Elvis is coming out. Just want to reiterate that. So Chuck Berry and Johnny Johnson ended up going up to Chess Records. The rest is history, right? 1954. Did you ever have a chance to see Chuck Berry play back in those days?
No, I didn't. And I always regret I never saw him and Johnny Johnson for a brief while. Way later in his career, was playing little places over here. I think he played a little
The Soho
Tavern down there, Little Italy.
Yeah, I remember. Okay. I was a kid, and I remember. I was a kid. I was a teenager. You know, I mean, I was too young to be in there, but I was there.
Me too.
Now, another big thing about the early days of rock and roll, Ike and Tina Turner, also from around here.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to see Ike and Tina play around here?
No, I never saw them either. You know,
Okay.
They played as close as Godfrey, the Godfrey Civic Center.
Did they play there? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just kind of curious. We're trying to find people who actually remember some of that.
Well, but if you were there and you remember it, you really weren't there.
Yeah,
Touche, pussycat. So, see, here's the thing. So a lot of people give, Chuck or Elvis as the king, credit, and we're not trying to take away from that, but when it comes down to it, Johnny Johnson wrote those songs. Chuck Berry transposed it onto guitar, put a backbeat to it with some drums. Now, Ike Turner was the first distorted guitar recorded, because on his way down to the Sun Studios, his amp fell out of the back of the station wagon. They weren't the kind of band that could just buy another amp, so they took newspaper, crumbled it up, and held the speaker up, and that created distortion. So now you add some distortion to what Chuck Berry's transposing these guitar, piano riffs onto. I mean, this is pretty much where rock and roll kind of spawned. It happened somewhere between Washington Park and Granite City. I'm trying to find the exact spot.
we know Chuck played in East St. Louis that night. And we know Ike and Tina Turner came up here and were around in the late 50s as well. And we also know that Chuck Berry played his guitar like a ringing the bell, wrote all of his own songs, and got it from the bluesmen who were big right here in St. Louis. So we've heard the story of rock and roll, and it came from the blues and the country blues specifically, which is Chuck Berry. And you can find recordings of Elvis Presley and his buddies talking about Chuck Berry, so they knew
no
about
doubt.
it.
Yeah.
They knew about it.
Larry Van Veer, he recorded with Chuck Berry.
Yeah. There's been a few guys around here. That's why I had to ask Al what he knew about Chuck, because every time we turn around, Dave Toretta did some recording with him as well. We got the guy, nephew from NGK band, played drums for Chuck Berry for a while. So we got guys around here that played with Chuck and know Chuck. And we always have to tap into that when we find an old timer that was around in those days.
There you go, Al.
I knew I should have stayed home.
Speaking of old timers, though, the Owls band's been around for quite some time.
20 years.
Wow.
So have you been like original member? Or?
Yeah. Three of the people in the Owls, 3 out of 5 are original members. Been with the band for 20 years.
Isn't that something?
I mean, there are bands that have hit songs that can't keep it together for 20 years. You know what I mean? They get in a fight and split it up or whatever. Yeah. Every time I hear of a band going 20, 30 years, you're like, really? Like, and nobody killed anybody yet? Usually, really, I've never had that where there's a lot of animosity, but a lot of times it just falls apart. People get busy, life
jobs,
changes.
Things,
Life
kids,
changes, man.
all the stuff.
There's one band around here. Have you ever heard of the Jorels?
I have.
They've been around since the late 50s.
Wow.
They played continuously since then. They don't have any original members. They've switched every instrument there is.
Right.
Yeah.
They played the Loading Dock.
Yes, they're
quite
still
a bit.
playing the Loading Dock.
Wow.
They're a great band. They're 8-piece horn band, 3-piece horn section. They're excellent.
Yeah.
Now, see, the oldest one we know locally that still got original members would be Jake's Leg. I think they're 50 years in this year.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had been around that long.
Only 10 years less than the Dead. So 50 years on this year. With still got Randy's an original member, and Casper's been with him since the first year or two. Yeah, so it's amazing to see guys that are like, wow, man.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking to BC Homegrown. They're playing May 8th at the Mill in Granite City with the Tracy Inman Band. And both these acts here have been two acts that me and Pigpen were just jaw-dropped when we heard their stories, because BC Homegrown used to be called the Screaming Eagles Jam Band, and they decided all of a sudden, we're going to stop doing covers, we're going to put out an original album, and we're going to rent a theater, and they sold it out almost. So, I mean, that doesn't happen, does it, Pigpen?
Not to me, for sure.
No. It's the only story I've ever heard like that.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate. It was a lot of fun, and things they worked out. We did a lot of work to prepare for it, but I think it exceeded our expectations. I had no idea we would sell that many tickets.
All right, so one question before we move away from this subject, and there, Kenny, how many of those tickets did you buy? No, I'm just kidding.
I was actually
382.
I was right next to Kenny during that show.
Yeah, nice.
Kenny was in the crowd. He wasn't it was Larry that was playing drums at that time.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
I say I was trying to mess with you. All right, Brett, how many did you buy? No, can't do it now. Let's just move on. So there you go, man. What are you guys playing? Your next show coming up is the 17th, is that what you said?
Correct.
And where's that at?
That is at the Fast Eddie's, just down the road here.
Fast Eddie's. And Fast Eddie's for the longest time was like the mob. The books are closed. Nobody who's not in is getting in, and they finally
are starting
the
to
books.
Yeah.
And we've seen more new bands. I mean, you might see new names of a band, but it's the same five guys that just, you know what I mean?
So
Bit of an incestuous situation going on.
So you guys were regulars out at Locke's Brick House.
Yeah.
Yep.
And isn't one of the Locks is now at Fast Eddie's?
Yep,
so.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and that helped us a lot to get in there for sure. But their whole attitude is they're looking at local entertainment, which I think is fantastic, and I think you'll see that open up more and more there.
Yeah, we definitely have. We've been seeing some different names there, and that's cool. A lot of them came from the Locke's Brick House scene, now into Fast Eddie's, mixed in with what Fast Eddie's was already doing. They're doing a great job of keeping everything up to date. And hey, man, how many places can you go in this town 7 nights a week and get some live music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a hats off to Fast Eddie's for that for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
So what date is that you're playing there?
We play there. It's next Friday, so I think that's the 17th.
17th,
yeah. And then the 18th is Prairie Inn, the next night.
Another great place.
Another great place.
Now, I love that stage is awesome.
Oh, I like their stage.
Except the no kids on the stage sign. Just I want to get on the stage so bad, and they just won't let me. No, that place is great out there. Beautiful stage, always sounds good out there.
Yeah.
So you're there the following night, the 18th. Man, there you go. 2 chances.
Rocking and a rolling.
2 chances back to back. You can go indoors at Fast Eddie's, or you can go outdoor. So
that's right. Hopefully, the weather's good.
Yeah. It will be. I ordered.
You ordered good weather for that day?
Really good weather for that night. So we'll see how that comes out.
Yeah.
So there you go. And then the what else you got coming up?
Well, after that we got we kind of have a routine of places that we play. So Fast Eddie's, Prairie Inn, we play Baker's and Hale often.
There's my neck of the woods right there.
We still play the Brick House, and we branch out a couple other different places. But most of our gigs kind of rotate between those places, and occasionally we get something like the Mill.
Nice.
Where it's a concert. That's what we really like about that.
Yeah.
If we had our druthers, we would just do concerts.
Right.
You know, but
because
there just aren't that many opportunities.
You guys are still doing covers and stuff
We
like
still
that.
do. When we play a bar and grill place or something, we do cover songs and originals.
Right.
Yeah. So last time we talked, I think they were just like when they were doing the theater down there. They were like, we're just doing originals for a while.
Yeah, then you realize we can't get work.
You got it. You got it. So
we're gonna have to change our paradigm a little bit.
yeah, so that's the main reason you're focusing on this May 8th show down at the Mill, because you're going to do all originals, right? That night?
I'd be all originals.
Completely.
Nice.
Yeah. And same thing for Tracy. He does kind of the same format. He's got original music, but obviously when he plays, he doesn't have 4 hours of original music. We could do 4 hours of music, but I mean nobody's going to know what we're doing, and there's not enough substances in the room to keep them interested.
Speak for yourself.
So the last time we talked, you guys had just released an album.
Yes.
Anything new since then?
We've got to start on our second album. We did some recording a little bit back, and we transitioned. Kenny joined the band, and so we need to get back on that. But there's just amazing how time goes by. There's so many other things that we're trying to prioritize to keep our show fresh and to change things around that we haven't got around to new music, original music in a while. So we want to come out with a second album, and I hope to do it within the next 6 months.
Okay.
Is my hope.
Okay.
That is optimistic.
We did that at our local studio. The first album we recorded in Kansas City,
Right.
at Cypher Sound Studio, and this one, the last one, the work we've done so far is at a Bird Cloud Studio over in Collinsville.
Okay. Have you released anything from that yet?
No, actually we could. I haven't done that because I didn't know if I was going to hold it until we get the whole. We need
Gotcha.
like 5 more songs. We got 5 done. We need another 5 in my mind, so we haven't released any yet, but. We could.
We're just seeing if you're catching on to what the kids are doing these days. What the kids are doing is singles mainly. And they just constantly release things. That way they stay in the algorithm, which is a big word we like to say around here now. And we learned that word from some kids, right?
Great name for a band, the Algorithms.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it keeps you fresh. It keeps you fresh in the Google searches and all that type of stuff for us non-algorithm people. And anyways, yeah.
We just hope we have a heart rhythm at this point.
Right on. Right on. But,
I like it. Well, it is the way that, like, see, I'm an album guy.
I do too.
I like the
too.
whole. I like to hold it in my hand.
We actually did vinyl. We made vinyl. We had to go all the way to the Czech Republic to get those stamped.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
So we've talked to a lot of bands about this, and vinyl's so cool, and it's the thing. But now, if you don't record, if you're recording where it's supposed to be, it's still gonna sound like that. But usually they take big files and squish them into this MP3. It's why you know.
Yeah.
But so on a side note, you can buy like the old school people when they made records, they would do them one at a time. Where you have this needle, you put it on, and you play your thing into it, and I found those used, so I could make you 2 records in like a week. No, I'm just no, I love the vinyl, the comeback of vinyl.
Oh, I do too.
But what I started to say is like a lot of the kids doing the things like that. I look at it like us old timers. We could take a note from what the kids are doing to help. You know, look, when we started playing guitar, we didn't know we also have to know social media to get a gig.
No,
right? Yeah. They know that going into it now,
and they already know how to do all that stuff.
Exactly. You know? But I think like if I was to ever put out anything, I won't, because Johnny Bash teases me too much over there.
he hasn't put nothing out, but he knows a lot about putting stuff out.
I put out more.
He likes to put out.
I do. I'm easy.
I'm just going to leave that alone.
I'm easy. But no, if you wait for the album, but then you release them one at a time over a period of time, it does keep, like Bash said, the algorithm.
Maybe it does. Yeah, that's a strategy.
And it's that whole getting your stuff to pop on social media kind of thing, which I only go on for marketplace. So if you're not selling a tractor, I don't even know. No, I don't.
And then you get into them kids like Chris Vandehale last week, who was talking about stuff I didn't even understand about the internet, but they're finding ways to get their stuff on playlists.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
the
a
key
big
right
deal.
there, right? That's the key.
Yeah.
So
And it's hard to do that.
So here it is. Here's the bite of that secret. You upload it to Spotify, but you don't release it.
Right.
Or you upload it to all of these places with a release date months in the future.
Right.
And then it has months to take your thing and put it on playlist before you release it. It's already thinking about, what does this go with? What do you know? Now, if you don't get the Tracy Inman silver package,
right.
you got to pay for that. Then it will say, oh, you like this song, you might also like BC Homegrown, but that don't come.
The key is to let it sit there
let
for a
it
while
simmer.
before you actually put it out to the public.
And you can do that. I guess to me, I'm old school. I guess a release is released. If it's on there, it's been released.
Well, yeah, so you upload it to their system where it's in their system but not available to anybody, and it just spins in there, but then it gets put onto a bunch of different playlists that it meets up with, and then when you release it, it's already out there, where most people, they upload it and release it, and that little bit of excitement that they've got, amongst their crew to go, hey, man, it's released. by the time it's on playlists, that sort of wave is, you're already writing you're on your third album at that point, you know.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, what you do is you get out there and promote. This is coming out.
Yeah.
You know, June
On this date,
25th
yeah.
or whatever. Months in advance, get people interested in it.
I
and then-
appreciate that, that insight.
Hey, we appreciate Birds of Squalor.
We're here to help.
They
Yeah.
told us we
Seriously,
don't know
that
nothing.
Chris Van DeHee from Birds of Squalor told us that last week. And if you put him and Joe from Borderline together,
Oh, my.
they could take over the internet, I think.
Pretty
I'm
much.
not sure.
Pretty much.
Those two both have taught me a lot in conversation sitting right in this room.
Yeah.
I tend to pick their brains
You
a
need
bit.
you need a 30-year-old. You know, you need a 25, 30-year-old in every band. You just
sure.
to know, even if they don't play an instrument.
I need a
Just so they know
30-year-old.
that
Tell my
stuff.
wife that. She'd disagree with you.
Well, now let's clarify what we're.
Honey, that wasn't me that said that. That was Brad, but I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm
We
just saying.
were talking with BC Homegrown. They're playing the Mill in Granite City on May 8th with the Tracy Inman Band. That's a all original show from BC Homegrown and Tracy Inman. So you can get your tickets at themillevents.com, or you can go by the website we talk about each and every week, thanks to our sponsors, Halpin Music Company and Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance, cottonmouth.org, where we talk about what's going on around the Riverbend, like Friday night. We have Miss Bubby's 20th anniversary pageant. Pigpen, are you in this? It's a $5 cover.
I'm all the way in.
Okay, that's a Bubby and Sissy's. And we
As
got
much as they can take.
okay. We got, check this out. Spencer McDole is playing at the Conservatory.
All right.
That's new for him.
It's pretty good.
Debut there, 9 o'clock show at the
Nice.
Conservatory right here in Alton.
Nice.
We got Up All Night at Fast Eddie's from 7 to 11. We got the 2026 U.S. Open Karaoke Championship qualifying round happening at the Moose at 7
I'm going to
o'clock.
do Sweet Child of Mine. No.
I think that would work. We got the Warehouse Project, 7 to 11 at Baker's and Hale and Godfrey. I left this on here, Pigpen. I just think it's an open jam at the Full Moon. I think they're changing it up every week, and I forgot to change it this week, so ignore
Well,
that.
I think it's
Ignore
a Grateful Dead style jam.
Where is the full moon?
It's
Oh, Clifton Terrace.
Yeah.
The old Clifton Terrace Inn.
Yeah,
Oh, the Clifton Terrace Inn there?
Yeah,
That's on-
yeah.
On the right going down the hill?
Yep, you got it, man. That's.
but
and-
I
and
want to
I thought they were doing like a Grateful Dead thing.
So
here
they're
right
do-
away or
see.
something, too.
See,
That's
that's
tonight.
what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm. Well,
I
see,
think it's tonight.
I'm
Yeah.
confused because like I left it on here by accident.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if I'm looking at something that because I said this on the air before, so I know.
Well, I saw it somewhere else. I
Right.
saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That was like a couple weeks ago. But since then, I've seen actual acts there. So I'm not 100% this is accurate. That's what I'm trying to
All
point
right,
out.
well,
Does Paul Light have something to do with that?
He does.
Okay.
They do the Wednesday night. Wednesday night open mic. Now I know that happens
But
every Wednesday.
Paul doesn't own the place?
No, I don't think
so.
he owns it.
I don't know who the new caretakers are of this place, but
I think,
they've been intricate in getting the music and stuff down there. So
Oh, good.
So the
Yeah.
vibe is Everheart and Light with Sarah Shoemake.
yeah,
And they're the ones that have been hosting that on Wednesday nights.
yeah.
And a member of Head East was down there recently. I've seen a post. So they're drawing some folks in there.
That's cool.
Anyways, back to Friday night, the Warehouse Project, 7 to 11 at Baker's, Hale, and Godfrey. We got Harvest Drive Duo at Locke's Brick House from 7 to 10 in Bethalto. Andrew Dahl up at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville. We got karaoke at the Hog Pit. We got the Three Stooges at Grafton Pub from 7 to 11.
exciting.
Yeah.
Wise guy.
We got Pigpen performing as one of the Three Stooges right now.
It wasn't just me. That was Brad.
Okay.
Brad did the good one.
Okay.
I did the bad ones.
On a Thursday afternoon right here on the Big Z. Bob Miller going to be playing at the Pierre Marquette Winery in Godfrey on Friday night from 7 to 11. We got Money Shot down at Deutsch Village Inn at the 8:30 slot. We got Ricochet at the Mill, and that's a country act that's been around and toured throughout the years. I don't know much more about them, but they're happening down there at 8 o'clock on Friday night at the Mill in Granite City. We also got Taylor Swift in town. Long live Taylor Swift tribute. 7:30 at the Wild E Theater in Edwardsville. And my question is always, is it too soon? Is it too soon for a tribute? of Taylor Swift?
She's still
No,
out
no.
there.
Well, she's been dead 20 years now. And no, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, if you're making that money,
Well,
I guess it's not too soon.
So I was
right?
going to say, I talked to Jacob Pullen, who was part of the Taylor Swift tribute thing, and they sold out 2 nights in a row at the Wildie or whatever.
I'm not sure if this is the
I
same
don't know if
one,
it's
though.
I'm not sure
There's
if
a
it is
couple
the
of
same.
them out
yeah.
there. That's what I'm saying. Is it too soon? I
Well,
mean, Jimi Hendrix tribute makes sense if you're good enough.
So I'm going to say this about it: if there's this many Taylor Swift tributes out and they're selling out, I'm going to say no, it's not too soon. I mean that's what if it's working, it's working. You know.
Well, if it doesn't work out for you at the Wildie Theater, just go across the parking lot.
Yeah.
Flip the Frog will be at backstage right there in Edwardsville. Scott Marlin around the corner. Big Daddy's from 6 to 9, and Lanny and Julie at the Stagger Inn from 6 to 9 on Friday. We got Joey Miner at the Barrel and Brew in Edwardsville from 7 to 10 Friday night. CJ Sounds at the Chop House from 6 to 9 in Edwardsville. We got the Double Tap out at the cabin at Judy Creek from 7 to 11. And Skid Roses. I wonder what they tribute. I'm guessing it's Skid Roses. Isn't that a band?
It
Guns
is?
N' Roses. I mean,
Oh, wait.
I think it's Skid Row and Guns N'
Skid Row,
Roses.
oh.
Yeah, Skid Row and Guns N' Roses.
Al knows.
combined.
Al knows this young music. Skid Row and Guns N' Roses. I mean,
As I said, I'm going to do "Sweet Child O' Mine" at the karaoke now. I called it, you guys.
Okay, you got it. You can have that one.
so yeah, that's a lot of what's going on around our area on Friday night, and the band Feel is at Hogs for the Cause in New Orleans. I always have
Nice.
to mention
Good
where
for
they
those
go.
guys, yeah.
They've been
That's
all
great.
over the country. So
Yep.
Yeah, killing it.
So that's a Friday night in Riverbend. And we're talking to BC Homegrown, who's playing May 8th at the Mill in Granite City, along with the Tracy Inman Band. And we got to mention that Tracy, if you haven't checked out the show with him, you need to go back and check out the Riverbend Talent Show, because another amazing story. This guy just had a bunch of words written down on paper, called up a studio, AOK Studios, and said, "Can you make this into music?" And they did. And next thing you know, I'm shortening the story.
Yeah.
But the studio helps him get a Grammy nomination from these recordings. And it's just round one of the Grammys, but you got it on your resume.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? That's
No,
all that
it's
matters.
Dude, it's good.
Grammy
And now you can
nominated.
get him on the jukebox,
Yeah.
because he called the jukebox and said, "Hey, I got a Grammy nomination." I could see you doing this, Pigfin. You'd be telling everybody, "I'm Grammy nominated."
Oh, yeah. That's how I'd have myself announced as I walked in every room.
We got
No, Grammy nominated.
Big Ben.
we were thinking about opening up a studio in Nashville, Illinois, so all the bands
They
that
recorded in
there-
Nashville? Yeah.
Nashville recording artist.
You should do that.
Oh, yeah, you can get land cheap out there.
Oh, man.
So there you go. It's all in promotion, as we learned from Gene Simmons. Or Torchlight Parade, if from around here.
This is true.
Yeah.
So we got anything on Saturday you needed to mention?
Well, we can mention some Saturday if you want to get a little Saturday
I just
action
didn't
going.
know if there's any. Sometimes you got some highlights you're gonna hit.
I know you were anxious to get back to the Homegrown.
I can't wait.
The BC Homegrown, of course.
British Columbia.
It's the best homegrown.
So here's one Pigpen that's new to me. There's this place in West Alton. It's called the Sawmill.
Okay.
Now, this is the only event I've seen so far. There's some kind of haunted house there, and they're having all these vendors show up. Okay, but they also have live music, and this is taking place Saturday.
So
It's called the Hollow Spring, with the Peace Lords and Bog. 5 to 9 with vendors and a haunted house from 8 p.m. until midnight. And that's this place called the Sawmill in West Alton. There's a link at cottonmouth.org.
So I don't know. There was a third shift. There are a few little bars over in that area, but there's an actual sawmill right
Okay.
across. If you go over 367, just to the left, past before Dirt Cheap, I think even. It's before Dirt Cheap and after, between the gas stations in there, somewhere right in there. There's an actual. It's just a little sign that says Sawmill goes down a road. I've always wanted to go down there, but never. I've always been a little,
I went there for.
They have a saw, so
Babe squeal,
What was you saying, Kitty? You been there?
Yeah, I went there for a field trip in high school.
Okay,
Oh.
to the Sawmill.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's still there. I think the flood got it in
Okay.
'93.
But if you own the property of an old sawmill and you're just going to throw up a stage and some vendors,
Right.
Yeah.
sounds like a doable thing. If I owned a piece of property over there, I'd have a party on it. Of course, if I owned property anywhere, I'd have a party on it. What else do you buy property for? I don't even know.
Hey, Mr. Matt Tall's coming to sound on Saturday night. He'll be
Nice.
at Cat Daddy's from 7 to 10.
Excellent.
We got the 20th anniversary review hosted by Chastity Valentino and others at Bubby and Sissy's. We got the Doppelganger playing at Argosy Casino, starting to have music again.
Nice. Nice.
I think the Owls band's played at Argosy, haven't you?
I don't recall that.
No?
Climate Band has.
Climate, that's right. I knew it was one of you two.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Kenny, when you played the casino.
Well, we played there. That's about all I really remember, and we wrote our names underneath the band, the Turtles.
Okay.
Oh,
We love the Turtles.
Yeah, Flo and Eddie, man.
It's the
Those
Wall
guys
of
are
Fame.
awesome.
It probably wasn't the easiest load in.
No, it sucked.
Yeah,
You
hard to
couldn't-
load in.
You couldn't find Dr. Hook and the Medicine Man? They were over there.
They probably were somewhere. Out there. It was a Wall of Fame. It was pretty cool.
Chuck Berry was there quite a bit too. What else we got? Naked Soul. We got Naked Soul 1:30 the draw. 7 o'clock at Past Eddie's. We got Steve Schiniger in the Shin Sings Orchestra.
All right. I like it.
Yeah, at the VFW in Alton, and that's $40 per person for that. I believe it comes with dinner, if I'm not mistaken. We got Rob Schwartz 2 to 5 and Roommate 7 to 11 at Baker's and Hale as they add an early slot on a Saturday from 2 to 5. So 2 bands at Baker's and Hale on Saturday.
Nice.
Leadfoot out at Doc Holidays, which is back in action out there in Cottage Hills from 7 to 11. Foreplay down at the Pump House in Wood River. At 8 o'clock, Toxic Johnny up at the Hog Pit from 2 to 6 in Grafton. Money Shot at the Legion in Kane. We got Chris Ryan at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville on Saturday. And we got Serapis as the loading dock fires things up finally, 1 to 4. The loading dock getting underway Saturday.
There's just pages and
I know.
pages of stuff here going on. So
I know.
Let's just say this: if you haven't heard it and you're wanting to know what else is going on, go to cottonmouth.org.
Thank you.
It's different when you say it slow.
Well, we got the Springsteen celebration down at the mill.
I saw
in
that.
Granite City. How about a Springsteen tribute?
I'm a fan.
I got a cancer benefit, so I got to always mention the benefits. Dave Mendoza Band is playing the benefit called Striding and Surviving. That's a charity in itself that raises money for cancer patients. And that's happening down at the Moose in Edwardsville on Saturday from 7 until 10.
Awesome.
There you go.
Plenty going on. Anybody says there's nothing going on, you didn't even try. You didn't even look. There's pages of stuff going on here, all on our side of the river for the most part. So, don't give me that I'm bored bit.
We got time too, Pigpen. Just so you know, since we started after the hour, we're gonna try to push it up. We got some sports coming on here.
All right. Well,
You heard about sports?
I started trying to back time. That's
Yeah.
why I cut in on you. I'm like, whoop, we got a back time, top of the hour.
I could tell what you were doing.
Yeah.
I could feel you
Yeah.
under the table.
Glad
Leave
you,
that alone.
I'm glad you noticed. Most people don't even say anything.
Well, he was smiling kind of funny. I don't know what.
Hey, he's paying me cash. That's what I'm trying to say here.
We don't have to get taxes involved. That way.
Yeah. We don't have to have receipts or anything like that
You don't have
here.
to charge taxes on tips.
We're talking to the folks from BC Homegrown. They're playing the Mill in Granite City on May 8th with the Tracy Inman Band. We got a link at cottonmouth.org, or you can go to themillevents.com, get your tickets for that. How much are tickets for that? Do you know? $1?
I do not
I think
know.
they're right around $20.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe 22, something like that.
I mean, I'm not buying a ticket, so they're going to let me come in free.
Hey,
So I don't
Hunter
really-
Thompson said
That's
buy a
what you
ticket,
think.
take the ride, man.
I know I should.
You should. Hunter would be a wise man to listen to. So yeah, that's May 8th, and what else can you splash on us about this big shindig down there at the mill on May 8th?
You know, it's just a rare opportunity to get to see two local bands doing all original music, and at a great venue with good facilities. I mean, they got everything that you're going to want to do to have a good night out with your wife or your significant other and have some fun. They got room for dancing if you needed to, that you could mosh pit, but I don't think that's really what our demographic does a lot of, but you could.
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard for this show. We've been trying to practice twice a week on all the original stuff. We have a list of 20 songs we're planning on playing. So it takes a little bit of going over to get all these down where you're confident enough to, that nobody's going to screw up.
I don't know if we talked to you, Kenny, and pull the mic over there a little bit about when you actually joined this band and took over for Larry. How'd that all go down?
Well, Larry was having knee problems, and he said that he's quitting the band and getting his knee taken care of. And then Brad gave me a call, and here I am.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So was that your first exposure to the original music that they played, or had you heard it already? I know you were down at the show, so you'd heard some of it.
Yeah, they give me one of their CDs, and
so that was the first time, though, that you sat down and actually tried to learn some of that stuff.
Right. I'm filling Larry Vanderveer's shoes. That's
Right.
that's not an easy task.
You're doing a great job with it.
But he is the one who taught me how to play the drums. So I did get my style kind of from him.
Right.
So.
And I know you and Brad have jammed at several open mics, and Brad will play these originals just by himself.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you got a little exposure to him then.
Yeah, he was throwing them out there at me.
I've caught Brad in a basement playing those songs. True story.
Yeah.
I caught him in a public bath. I forget it.
All right. We won't talk about that
Later.
So now that you've been playing a little while, you got a favorite original?
I like Howling Into the Night. That's probably one of my favorites.
Has that got the groove you like, or what?
Yeah, and I like Philosophies. That's a good song too.
Yeah. Kind of arena rock.
They're all really good songs though. The more you listen to them, the more they rub on you.
Mm-hmm.
They're good. It's a whole good album.
Are those newer ones, or are
We
they?
are. Some of these are newer ones. Howling Tonight was on the album.
Okay.
But Philosophies is on the second
Coming.
helping. Yep, coming
Right.
out. Yep.
Yeah.
Just some groovy stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like the 70s all over again.
So the newer stuff, are you writing the drums on that, or were there already recordings of it?
Well, Larry had some recordings on it.
Okay.
On some of the
But
songs,
there's still a bunch though that you're doing a lot with.
Yeah, I
Of
am.
course, but, yeah.
I'm trying.
That's
to
why I told him. That's why I don't want to do this second album because I want him in there. I want to get half of those with Kenny in there too, and
Right.
just takes time. I mean, that's what's neat about I think doing original music. It's your creation. You're drawing from everything you knew, and so nothing's truly original, but it is original in the way you put it together and the talents that you have in the room. It's just what a great community to be with musicians. I know you guys. It's just a neat. We have a little family, and it's kind of cool to watch that open up with people and.
We speak our own language.
We do.
Music.
Yeah.
I don't. I stutter. I stutter music.
I would say like playing live is like surfing as a group.
Yeah.
You're all riding the wave and
Well,
you got to get the energy together, and it's just you're all there at the same time, and there's nothing you could rehearse past that point. You're just letting it
It's
out.
better than any drug.
I like that approach though, where it's there's a difference between we learn this song and we're all going to do this exact same thing every time, and I'm not taking away from that style, but when you just learn the tune. And even if the arrangement's maybe a little loosey-goosey, done with a nod and a wink. Hey, guys, let's move on, to
There's
this
some
next
of that,
part.
yeah.
Because you're not... it's one, if you're playing live, you feel the energy of the crowd and it helps take you here. But even if you're just in a room with guys, if you're playing actively, somebody does something, you react to that.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just doing what your brain has been pre-programmed to do, and it becomes like a language. Oh, you got something to say? I got something to say too. I mean, everything I say is a joke, but so it's out of key. No.
But it's true though. When you get and when that moment's there's times when the music is like that. Everything's clicking. So there are times where I'm struggling a little tonight. I'm not getting in the groove. But when it hits it right, it's nothing better.
Nothing like it.
Tequila helps.
Oh yeah. I was going to ask you too, Kenny. Had you done original music before?
Me and Chris Belden did a little bit back in the day.
Yeah. How about you, Al? Is this your first attempt at original music?
No, I mean, Topaz Band, a guy named Dale Lewis and Jeff Hunter wrote some songs for us. We had probably 2 albums worth of material, but we never could. Back then, you had to try to get a record contract type of deal. But, I've still got some tapes of that. We had another band in the 80s called the Mopeds, which we didn't do any covers. It was the same two. It was the same Dale and Jeff, and we were more of a new wave punk rock, play everything really fast type of band. But we also had enough stuff for at least one album, and never went anywhere there either. So yeah, I've tried and failed before.
Okay.
Hopefully this will be different.
Every day's a new chance to stumble.
Pat Liston said back in the day they didn't like you playing original music, so he'd just say that last song was by Three Dog Night. You never heard that?
It's a good story.
Hey, you want to take this for a minute? I'm going to go check on the ball game.
I don't know where to take it, but I'll take it. I'll take whatever you're giving me. So there you go. So you guys, I like this idea of the concert like that, because somehow, even if a crowd is sort of into you in a bar type setting, you still have this background music sort of feel, or whatever. And
they're doing other things too. They're eating dinner.
Right,
they're visiting
dinner. There's a lot of like forks hitting plates in the background or whatever. But when it's a concert, it's a little more pressure maybe, because everyone is sort of not talking to each other.
I like it because that's why you're there. You're there to hear the band, and that to me is different.
And that's kind of the point I was bringing up. We've talked about it in the past, that there are certain places like Stagger Inn. You have that bar with the tables that you can sit and talk. But when you walk through these other doors, this is the listening room.
Yeah.
And it seems the Delmar Hall is sort of set up that way. I like it because, look, I get people want to sit and talk about how much gravel they graded earlier in the day or whatever it is whatever it is you're doing, how many hot dogs you sold, whatever. But if I'm there for music, especially when I paid $25 to get in or something, it's like, so I that's why I like the concert idea, because everybody here is here to hear the music, not just out at dinner. However, kudos to all of you people who go out to dinner where there's live music.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. I'm not trying to take away from any of that. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
But it is So I saw an interview with Sting years ago where they were asking him about playing, arenas, full of people. He's like, that's easy. There's so many people. I'm just this thing happening. Playing in front of 4 people in the living room, now that makes me nervous, because they're all staring right at me. So
and I can see it. Yeah,
there's that side of the story too, that they're not distracted. So every time I mess up, they're going to be like, oh, you see that, right? But so what set this idea out? Did you sort of come up with the idea?
Well, actually, Tracy and I worked together at the refinery for years, and I knew he was into music, and he knew I was into music, and I kind of watched. We talk a little bit here and there as his career is moving forward, and hopefully mine as well. And I said, dude, we ought to help each other. We're both trying to do a similar thing. Maybe 2 is better than 1. And I'm hoping it's the start of something. I would love to see more of this, where we could go raise money for some good cause, and with local original bands. There's another young fella I've been talking to a lot, that they do like 90s kind of, music, kind of alternative stuff. And I'm encouraging him. He's only like 19. I said, you guys ought to come do a concert with us sometime.
Yeah.
I've only got like 3 songs, but that's okay. Keep working on them.
Yeah, and kudos to Ray Warren for giving you guys the opportunity down at the mill to do this, because it's limited places that allow this. And if you like original music, this is a call out to you right now. We need you to show up May 8th. Down at the mill in Granite City and support original music. And that means a new venue, if you're an original band, that you can go play as well. Because if it goes over well, Pigpen, they'll keep doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So definitely.
And like you say, there's not that many places that do that. Some even other local places that have, not the big name acts. They seem to tend toward tribute bands. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing right now.
For sure.
And it's cool because a lot of the bands you grew up loving, you can't see anymore, except Taylor Swift. You still can, but there's, but
if you have unlimited resources.
But some of the local places don't do that much of local original bands, even when they have a venue that's made for that. But the mill is taking that on, and
for sure,
we really appreciate it.
And we love the Conservatory right here.
Oh yeah, they're great at that
because
too.
They do original
Absolutely.
music almost every single weekend. But they're not as big as the mill in Granite City. So that's a bigger venue.
Yeah.
So another option for an original band, and maybe 2 or 3 to get together and play, kind of like they do over at Pops and Sauget.
And very comfortable there, the mill. They got great seating. It's just they did a quality job. Everything they've done, I went there and checked the place out because I wanted to see, okay, what we got, and I was very impressed.
Yeah, definitely. I've been down there and checked it out as well. Pigpen's seen it when it was still dusty down there. They were knocking the dust off of it.
Yeah.
Got to see some of the buildings and going on around there. So, right there at that park, across is where they do the music in the park in Granite City. So it ties right into that nicely. And, hey, I'm just glad to see original music getting played at another venue. That's huge.
Yeah.
So, well, what do you got, Pigpen? Anything else?
Well, I got to see a doctor to tell you for sure what I got, but I'm sure penicillin will take care of it, whatever it is. I've got a pocket full of joy over here because BC Homegrowns has come in and talked to us once again, and we brought it up already. It is just one of those local stories that hit me. I love to see it. I love to see somebody pull off some stuff that I'm like, how do they do that? Because we're all trying to pull off some kind of scams here. We're all working the grift some way or another, right? No, you guys have done a great job with it. Super excited for you doing this double header concert, because I think there should be more of that. You actually, I'll touch back on a point you said a minute ago that just made me smile. And when I said, how did it come about? And you said, well, me and Tracy started talking, and we said, hey, we could help each other. We're both doing the same thing. I love that. I was never a fan of Battle of the Bands, even though we had to get in them back in the day. Yeah. But it's like, why do we got to battle? Why can't we just support each other? And why is there got to be, you can say I'm the worst one on stage, and we'll just call it that in the beginning. I don't care. I'll be the loser, but let's just not talk about it no more. And let's just do, because that's all there was for the longest time, was a battle of the, if you wanted to play multi-venue, a bunch of bands together, that's what they'd call it, I like festivals better, where it's just, we're all just here trying to decorate the space with music, try to make some vibrations that'll make us smile.
Like the diversity, the different styles, and Tracy and I, our bands are different, but I think we can work together really well. So
great idea, and looking forward to it on May 8th at the Mill in Granite City. BC Homegrown and the Tracy Inman Band. And you can get your tickets at themillevents.com. Hey.
As opposed to .org.
That's right.
The Cottonmouth.org.
So there you go.
Cottonmouth.org. All right.
We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. And
wrap it up. I'll take it.
You gonna take it?
That's Thunderbird right there.
Okay, well, you do
Stevie
the rap.
Ray Vaughan's brother, Jimmy
You're the
Vaughn,
rapper.
the good one. No,
you're the rapper, Jimmy Vaughn.
I will wrap it up by saying this. Thanks to BC Homegrowns, Brad Cummins right next to me, Kenny McPeak way down at the far end, and my new friend Al. Good to meet you. Wow, but we didn't dive deep enough into your psyche and really like start working on whatever your problems are now.
Next time.
Yeah, there's always next time. No, seriously, it was great to talk to you and get to know you a little bit. Tell your sister Alice I said hi.
I sure will.
She's an awesome lady. Thanks, guys, for coming
Well, we
on.
appreciate you guys for what you do.
Yeah,
You
no
guys
kidding.
are the greatest. We really do. We love it.
Well,
Fantastic.
it is an amazing scene around here.
And
it's
that, Brad, is how you get back on the show.
I did good. I did good.
That money under the table, huh?
That's right. That's
something under the
Well,
table.
we already had that. Yeah.
right. He is sitting next to Pigpens.
You sit close enough, you'll get something under the table. All right, so anyway, thanks, guys. Everybody, May 8th down at the mill. There's always chances to see these guys. If you check out cottonmouth.org, you'll see there are BC Homegrowns all over the place. Thanks, guys. Best of luck. Big thanks again to Halpin Music for 10 years of sponsoring this jackassery. Big thanks to my good friend Matt Van Voorhis, an excellent insurance agent. Everybody, remember, whatever you're going to do, get out and support local music and art.